You don't make her want you by talking. You make her want you by what you don't say. That pause, that calm look, that half smile when you listen, it's the moment her mind starts to undress the mystery of who you are. Most men don't get this. They talk to prove something. They try too hard to sound interesting, to fill every second with words, to show they're confident. But the harder they try, the faster the spark dies. She hears the noise, not the man behind it. Maybe you've been there. You had a great talk, you made her laugh. She even said she had fun. But then she went quiet. No text back, no second date. You replay the conversation in your head, wondering what you did wrong. You didn't say the wrong thing, you just said too much. You never gave her imagination a reason to work. See, attraction doesn't grow in words. It grows in space, in silence, in presence, in control. The man who can hold his frame, who knows when to speak and when to let her feel the tension, that's the man who becomes unforgettable. In this video, I'll show you how to speak less, say more, and turn ordinary conversation into subtle desire using calm energy and stoic discipline. Let's get into it. Number 1. Talk less, stir her mind. Most men think conversation is about filling silence, but silence, when held with confidence, is where real attraction begins. The more words you throw out, the less space she has to feel you. And that's what she actually wants to feel: your presence, your steadiness, your energy that doesn't need to prove itself. Let me tell you about Mark, 52, divorced, living in Denver. He's successful, fit, but frustrated. Every date feels like an interview. He talks about his work, his hobbies, his travels, and women nod, smile, and drift away. Then one night something different happens. He meets Lisa, 47, at a wine bar. She's sharp, funny, and gorgeous. At first he does what he always does, talks to fill the air. But halfway through he catches himself. He slows down. He lets her words hang. He listens, really listens. She says, "Sometimes I feel like people only hear what they want to answer." He looks at her, holds her gaze, and simply says, "Yeah, I know what you mean." Then silence. Not awkward, alive. She leans closer, her tone softens, the space between them starts to hum. That's the shift. When you stop performing, the energy flips. You no longer chase connection, you create it. The mind, especially a woman's mind, fills empty space with imagination. Every pause becomes a question she wants to answer. Every glance becomes an invitation to think, what is he thinking? This is where Carl Jung's ideas quietly shape your power. Jung said the unconscious speaks through symbols, not explanations. When you speak less, you become a symbol, not a sentence. Your calm becomes a mirror for her inner world. She doesn't fall for your words, she falls for what she feels inside them. Think about your own experiences. How many times have you said too much just to avoid the quiet? The Stoics warned against this centuries ago. They taught that the wise man speaks only when necessary, that self-control in speech is the mark of strength. Every word you don't say adds weight to the ones you do. Here's the truth: you don't need a script. You need awareness. Notice her tone, mirror her pace. When she asks a question, answer briefly, then redirect it back with something that stirs emotion. If she says, "I love the ocean," don't reply with facts about beaches. Say, "It's peaceful, isn't it? The kind of place that makes you forget the noise." Then stop. Let her imagination walk through that door. In that stillness, her mind starts painting pictures: you, her, the beach, the feeling. That's not manipulation, that's connection through presence. Stoic calm is not coldness, it's composure under emotion. It's the art of saying less and feeling more. Mark told me later that Lisa texted first the next morning, not because of his stories, but because of how she felt during them: safe, seen, and curious. That's the power of speaking less. You become the space she wants to step into. So next time you talk to a woman, don't rush to fill the silence. Let it breathe. Let your calm do the talking. If this resonates, drop a quick comment, "I've seen this." And stay close, because what comes next will show you how silence itself can turn attraction into obsession. Number 2. The words that pull her in. Most men use words to explain. The wiser man uses words to evoke. You see, attraction isn't logical, it's emotional. It happens in the small shifts between what's said and what's felt. When your words touch imagination instead of intellect, that's when she starts leaning closer without even realizing it. In the last part, we talked about speaking less. Now let's talk about speaking better. Every phrase you use should carry rhythm, curiosity, and restraint. You're not throwing information at her, you're creating a mental picture she wants to step into. That's how desire begins. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." He wasn't talking about dating, but the wisdom applies perfectly. Real attraction comes when your words grow out of listening. When you make her feel understood, she naturally wants to reveal more. And in that revelation, connection forms. So instead of saying, "You look great tonight," try something that pulls her inward. "There's something about you tonight." It's calm, but dangerous. Notice how that phrase doesn't define it, invites. It leaves space for her imagination to move. She starts asking herself, what does he mean? Why dangerous? And that thought loop is where the attraction starts to simmer. Jung described this as projection, the mind taking what's inside and casting it onto someone else. When you speak with mystery and composure, you become that canvas. She begins to see her own hidden side through you. You don't force attraction. You trigger it gently by giving her something to feel rather than something to analyze. Now, here's what most men get wrong. They speak from a place of wanting approval. They try to impress, to show value, to convince. The moment you start convincing, you lose polarity. She feels the push instead of the pull. Your words should not chase validation. They should create emotional oxygen. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." That means whatever tone you speak from, she will feel it. If you speak from calm curiosity, she feels calm curiosity. If you speak from need, she feels pressure. And pressure kills attraction. So how do you use words that pull her in? You do it by shifting focus from the content to the texture. Slow your tone. Lower your voice slightly. Use pauses like punctuation, not commas. Paint feelings, not facts. If she tells you a story, don't respond with another story. Say something like, "That must have felt different," the way you describe it. Now, she's not just talking to you, she's talking into you. The beauty of Stoicism is in control. You're not suppressing emotion, you're steering it. The calm man makes his words count because he's not fighting silence, he's shaping it. Every word becomes deliberate, charged, alive. You're not reacting, you're directing energy. Remember, this attraction is not built in paragraphs, it's built in pauses. It's not what you explain, it's what you imply. When your words leave room for her imagination, she steps in to fill it with desire. So as you move forward, don't focus on clever lines or memorized scripts. Focus on awareness, tone, and timing. Speak like a man who already knows he's enough. That confidence doesn't shout, it hums. If this makes sense to you, drop a quick comment below, "I want this." And stay with me, because up next we'll talk about the silent force behind all attraction, how your quiet presence can turn interest into magnetic desire. Number 3. Silence turns her on. Silence makes most men nervous. They rush to fill it with stories, jokes, or random words just to feel safe. But the man who can hold silence, truly hold it, becomes magnetic. Because silence, when owned with calm confidence, creates tension. And tension, when mixed with presence, becomes desire. Let me paint you a real picture. David, 58, retired Marine turned small business owner in Florida, told me about a woman he met at a charity dinner. Rachel, 51, a therapist, divorced for years. At first, their talk was casual. Then, during dessert, the conversation slowed. Rachel said, "You seem comfortable, not saying much." David smiled, took a slow sip of his wine, looked at her and said, "Words get in the way sometimes." And then, silence. Not awkward, electric. She held his gaze a second too long. Her breath shifted. The quiet between them wasn't empty. It was charged. That's the kind of silence that makes her lean forward, not back. What's happening here isn't magic. It's psychology. When you stop filling every gap, you give her mind space to feel. Most women live surrounded by noise phones, schedules, small talk. Silence feels rare, almost sacred. It creates contrast. When you can stay still, you tell her without saying it that you're not desperate for her attention. You're comfortable in your own gravity. Carl Jung called this the projection of desire, the moment someone senses depth in you and their imagination begins to fill the blank space. When you don't explain yourself, she starts writing her own story about who you are. Every quiet second lets her curiosity grow. She begins to wonder, what's he thinking? Why does he feel so grounded? What's behind that calm? And curiosity, when paired with attraction, becomes chemistry. Here's the secret: silence is not about shutting up. It's about creating emotional contrast. Talk, then pause. Ask, then listen. When she shares something personal, don't rush to respond. Just breathe. Hold eye contact. Let her words hang in the air. That space tells her, you can keep going. I'm here. It's safety and seduction woven together. David told me that night ended with Rachel touching his hand first, a simple gesture but full of meaning. It wasn't what I said, he told me, it was what I didn't need to say. That's presence, that's power. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. They practiced silence not as withdrawal but as mastery. Seneca wrote, "Speech is the mirror of the mind." But what if the truer mirror is your stillness? In stillness, you reveal control, not coldness, but quiet confidence. The man who isn't afraid of silence is the man who doesn't need to prove anything. And here's the paradox. The quieter you become, the louder your energy feels. Because silence amplifies everything: your eyes, your breath, your steadiness. She feels it, even if she can't explain it. The body listens even when the mind is confused. So next time you're with her, resist the urge to fill every pause. Let silence breathe. Let her imagination build bridges you never have to construct. If this hits something inside you, write it down below. I've felt that. Because when you can feel it, you can use it. And don't move yet. What comes next will change the way you speak forever. We're about to break down how to plant desire in her mind without saying a single seductive word. The real art of Stoic suggestion. Stay with me. You're going to want to hear this next part. Number 4. Plant desire, don't show it. Desire isn't built by exposure. It's built by imagination. What you reveal too soon loses power. What you imply quietly, she'll think about all night. Most men make the mistake of showing too much attention, affection, even intent too early. They believe honesty means putting everything on the table. But attraction doesn't live in exposure. It lives in mystery. Carl Jung once said that everything we deny stays alive in the shadow. The moment you show everything, you kill that shadow and with it the magnetism that draws her in. Your job is not to convince her to feel desire. Your job is to let her discover it. Here's how it works. When you leave space between what you say and what you mean, her mind starts to fill it. That space is where her imagination begins working for you. The brain is wired to complete unfinished stories. It hates the open loop. When you hint at something but don't explain it, she keeps thinking about it long after the conversation ends. That's the quiet psychology of suggestion. You see, Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you plant an image, not by describing it, but by evoking it, her thoughts take that color. You don't talk about desire directly. You give her something to feel without realizing where it's coming from. For example, instead of saying, "You look amazing tonight," you might say, "There's something about the way you carry yourself. It feels calm but dangerous." That word dangerous lights up her imagination. She has to interpret it. She begins to project meaning onto you. That's the same projection Jung spoke of, the mind reflecting its own secret longings onto the person who gave it permission to feel them. This isn't manipulation, it's awareness. You're not forcing her emotions, you're creating a space where they can rise naturally. The Stoics called this control through restraint. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly. Attraction is no exception. You let it breathe. You guide it without touching it." And here's the paradox. Most men never understand. The more you chase clarity, the less she feels curiosity. The moment you say, "I want you," she no longer has to imagine it. The mystery ends. But when you say, "There's something about you I can't quite place," her mind starts the chase. Curiosity turns into desire. So plant feelings instead of declarations. Speak in images, not explanations. Keep your tone calm, grounded, measured. The less you try to prove, the more powerful you become. Desire is not a demand. It's an atmosphere. You create it through patience, eye contact, and restraint, not words of need. This is the essence of Stoic attraction: control of self before control of outcome. You're not suppressing emotion, you're mastering its direction. When she feels that composure, she feels safe. And when a woman feels safe, she allows her imagination to wander, and that's where true desire is born. If you felt the truth of this type, a quick comment, "I want this." Because the men who understand restraint never lose power. And before we move on, I want to remind you of something important. If you're serious about mastering this art, the psychology, the philosophy, and the energy behind masculine composure, join the Stoic Men's Circle, our private membership community. Inside, we go deeper. Weekly lessons, guided mindset resets, and private live sessions built to sharpen your calm, your focus, and your presence. You'll find men like you there, grounded, ambitious, and done playing small. Now stay with me, because next we'll explore the mirror effect, the unseen force that makes her chase you. This is where everything you've learned so far comes alive. Don't blink. You'll want to hear what happens next. Number 5. Be her mirror. Here's the truth. Most men never realize she doesn't fall for you. She falls for the version of herself that she sees when she's with you. Attraction is a reflection, not a performance. When you become her mirror, you show her not who you are, but who she feels like when you're around. And that feeling, that emotional reflection, is what keeps her coming back. Let me give you a real story. Michael, 51, from Austin, had been divorced for almost 5 years. He told me he was tired of the dating scene, all small talk, all surface level. Then he met Claire, 49, at an art exhibit. She wasn't overly flirtatious, but something about her energy pulled him in. He asked simple questions, listened carefully, and instead of trying to impress, he matched her rhythm. When she laughed, he smiled softly. When she paused, he waited. When she shared a story about her teenage son leaving for college, he didn't jump in with advice or jokes. He just said, "That must feel strange," proud, and a little empty at the same time. She looked at him like he'd just read her thoughts. In that moment, she felt seen. And that's the mirror effect. Carl Jung described this as projection, the mind reflecting hidden emotions onto another person. In attraction, it works both ways. She sees in you the part of herself that's ready to feel alive again. When you match her emotional tone, you're not pretending. You're tuning in. You're letting her recognize her own depth through you. That's why forced confidence never works. If you talk only to fill the air, she senses performance, not presence. But if you slow down, if you observe, if you respond to her feelings rather than her words, you create an emotional echo chamber, and she starts to crave that connection. It's not about you being perfect, it's about her feeling understood. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What we do now echoes in eternity." Every word, every expression, every silence you hold becomes part of the echo she hears in her mind. The more authentic you are, the more she feels something real bouncing back. The key isn't imitation, it's resonance. You're not copying her emotions, you're harmonizing with them. Michael told me that after that night, Claire texted him first. She said, "It felt easy being around you, like I didn't have to perform." That one line sums it up. When a woman feels safe enough to be herself, attraction stops being a chase, it becomes an unfolding. To become her mirror, practice awareness. Notice her pace, tone, and energy. Match it subtly, not like a trick, but like music. When she shares something heavy, lower your voice, slow your breathing. When she gets excited, let your energy rise with hers. You're building a bridge of emotional familiarity, the kind that bypasses logic and goes straight to feeling. This is the Stoic's advantage: calm observation. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The same is true here. When she opens up, your reaction defines her experience. Respond with presence, not panic. Respond with curiosity, not control. Remember, being her mirror doesn't mean losing yourself. It means showing her a reflection that is calm, grounded, and real. Because deep down, that's what she's longing for: a man who can hold her emotions without trying to fix them. So next time you sit across from her, stop trying to impress. Reflect. Let her see the calm, steady mirror of your energy, and watch how she leans in just to see herself more clearly. If that hits something inside you, write, "I've seen this," below. And don't go anywhere, because what's next will open the door to something even deeper. We're about to talk about the inner archetypes that shape every woman's desire and how to awaken them without saying a single seductive word. Stay here, this is where it gets powerful. Number 6. Wake her inner lover. Every woman carries a version of the lover inside her, the part of her that wants to feel alive, desired, free, and deeply understood. Most men never reach that part because they try to wake her body before they wake her mind. They go straight for attraction but skip connection. The lover doesn't respond to tricks or compliments. She awakens through presence, tone, imagination, and the feeling of being truly seen. Carl Jung called this the archetype, ancient energies that live inside the human psyche. And the lover archetype is powerful. It's not about sex, it's about aliveness. When you speak to that energy in a woman, you remind her of the parts she has forgotten, the soft, sensual, curious side that's been buried under duty, work, or exhaustion. You don't wake that part by saying, "You're beautiful." You wake it by saying something that stirs her senses, not her ego. It can be as simple as, "There's something about you tonight. I can't quite name it, but it feels rare." That line doesn't compliment her, it recognizes her. And recognition is what the lover craves most. Most men talk at women. The few who truly connect talk with them. You slow the rhythm down, you make eye contact that lingers without pressure, and you let the conversation breathe. The more grounded you are, the more she feels safe to rise into her feminine energy. In Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." That's not just philosophy, it's the foundation of attraction. When your thoughts are calm and present, your energy follows. She feels that quality, the steadiness, the focus, and her nervous system begins to mirror yours. She relaxes. She feels seen, not chased. That's when the lover inside her starts to wake. This is where subtlety becomes your greatest weapon. You don't tell her what to feel. You create a space where she can feel it herself. A gentle question can do more than a bold confession. Try something like, "Do you ever miss the version of yourself that was more spontaneous, That's not flirtation, that's invitation. You're inviting her to meet herself again through you. And the truth is, she's not attracted to your words. She's drawn to how your presence makes her feel more alive. The lover isn't searching for a man to complete her. She's searching for a man who reminds her of her own warmth, her own softness, her own hunger for life. That's why the Stoic man is so irresistible. He doesn't demand attention. He attracts it through calm magnetism. His control, his discipline, his quiet strength, they all signal safety. And safety is the soil where desire grows. You hold your frame not to dominate, but to allow. You don't awaken her by taking her energy. You awaken her by reflecting it back with composure. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." Freedom is exactly what she feels in your presence when you're grounded in yourself. No games, no chase, just clarity. She can breathe around you, and that freedom becomes attraction. So remember this, the lover inside her doesn't wake when you try to impress her. She wakes when she feels safe enough to imagine again. Your job isn't to chase her excitement. It's to hold space so her imagination can run wild. If you feel that truth, write a simple, "I want this," below. And don't go anywhere, because up next, we're going to talk about what happens when that energy starts to resist you and how to turn resistance into craving. This next part is where desire becomes unstoppable. Stay with me. Number 7. Turn resistance into craving. Every man has felt it, that moment when everything seems to be going well and suddenly she pulls back. Her tone changes, her eyes cool, her replies get shorter. You feel it in your gut, she's slipping away. Most men panic here. They chase, they explain, they try to fix the distance. But the truth is, resistance is not rejection. It's a test, a psychological checkpoint where attraction either deepens or dies. Let me tell you about James, 55, from Chicago. He met Erin, 52, at a mutual friend's dinner party. The chemistry was instant. They flirted, laughed and shared stories late into the night. But after a few days of texting, Erin became distant. No more emojis, no quick replies, just silence. James felt that familiar anxiety rise the urge to prove he still mattered. But this time he remembered what we'd talked about, that space is not the enemy. It's an opportunity. So he did something different. He didn't chase. He didn't double text. He waited. When she finally reached out again, he didn't bring up her distance. Instead, he said calmly, "Hey, it's good to hear from you. I was just thinking about how nice that night was." That single sentence shifted the energy completely. His composure made her curiosity return. Within a day, she was the one initiating again. What happened here isn't luck, it's psychology. When a woman pulls back, it's rarely because attraction is gone. More often, it's because something deeper is waking up inside her. Carl Jung called this the moment of resistance, when the unconscious starts to surface and the ego feels vulnerable. Her instincts tell her to retreat and protect herself. If you chase that energy, you feed her fear. But if you hold your ground with calm confidence, her mind begins to associate you with safety. This is where Stoicism becomes your greatest strength. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In moments of resistance, mastery means restraint. You don't react to the pullback. You remain still, not passive, but centered. When you stop chasing validation, you show her that your presence doesn't depend on her response. That stability turns her hesitation into intrigue. Desire is a paradox. The more pressure you apply, the more it disappears. But when you create space, the imagination rushes in to fill it. She begins to think about you again, wondering why you're not trying harder. That question, "Why isn't he chasing me?" becomes the seed of craving. James told me later. When I stopped trying to win her over, she came closer. That's not detachment, that's quiet confidence. You turn resistance into craving by giving her the one thing most men can't: emotional freedom. She gets to come back by choice, not guilt. and that choice deepens attraction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Translate that here. The best response to her distance is to be unlike every man she's met before. Stay calm, stay grounded. Let her feel your steadiness while she sorts through her emotions. Remember, resistance isn't the end, it's the tension before transformation. Handle it with composure, and it becomes the bridge from curiosity to craving. If you understand this type, a quick "I felt that" below. And don't move yet, because next we'll uncover the 3 subtle moves that melt her guard completely. This next part isn't about talking, it's about energy. Stay right here, this is where attraction becomes unstoppable. Number 8. The 3 moves she can't resist. Every woman has walls, emotional ones, built from past disappointments from men who talked too much and listened too little. Those walls don't come down with compliments or promises. They fall when she feels something deeper, something safe and real. That's why the men who master emotional intelligence, calm, grounded, present, are the ones who stay on her mind long after the conversation ends. Carl Jung called it transference, the moment when one person unconsciously transfers emotion, trust, or attraction onto another, who feels safe enough to hold it. When you master presence, you become the space where her defenses collapse. She doesn't know why, but she starts to relax. Her laughter gets softer. Her eyes stay longer. She begins to feel a sense of connection that logic can't explain. There are 3 subtle moves that make this happen. They sound simple, but they're rare, because they require control, not performance. First move, curiosity. Most men talk to impress, few talk to discover. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Curiosity means turning the spotlight away from yourself. Instead of trying to prove your worth, you explore hers. Ask questions that lead her inward, not outward. What makes you feel most alive? Or what's something you've learned about yourself this year? These questions bypass surface talk. They tell her, you're not chasing information, you're reaching for understanding. Curiosity invites vulnerability, and vulnerability opens attraction. Second move, vulnerability. Real power isn't in perfection, it's in composure while being open. When you admit something real, not a confession but an honest thought, you show depth. You might say, "Sometimes I get quiet not because I'm distant, but because I'm thinking too much." That line doesn't weaken you, it humanizes you. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The good man isn't cold, he's calm enough to be honest. When she feels that openness, her guard drops. You're no longer another man trying to get her attention. You're a man she can exhale around. Third move, complicity. This is the unspoken alliance that turns connection into chemistry. It happens when you create a we, a sense of shared understanding that no one else gets. Maybe it's a small secret between you, a shared look, when something happens in the room, a quiet inside joke that no one else hears. That's complicity, the invisible thread that pulls 2 people closer. Jung believed intimacy begins in shared mystery, not shared fact. Complicity makes her feel like she's in something with you, not just talking to you. These 3 moves, curiosity, vulnerability, and complicity, are powerful because they all lead to the same emotional truth, safety. When a woman feels safe, her body relaxes, her mind opens, and her desire grows naturally. It's not a trick, it's an exchange of energy. The Stoic man wins here because he's not reactive. He doesn't chase reassurance. He creates it. His steadiness tells her, you can be yourself here. And once she feels that, she won't forget it. So remember, attraction isn't about control. It's about creating space for her to let go. When you move with curiosity, speak with honesty, and share complicity, you don't chase connection, you invite it. If this speaks to you, write, "I want this," below. And don't leave yet. The next part reveals what happens when all of this energy merges into something deeper. We're about to uncover the shadow, the hidden side of masculine power that draws her closer than ever before. Stay right here. This is where everything changes. Number 9. Own your darkness. Every man has a side he hides, the part that doesn't fit the version of himself he tries to show the world. Maybe it's anger, desire, pride, or fear. Most men spend their lives running from it. But here's the paradox: the very thing you're hiding might be the source of your power. Women don't fall for perfection, they fall for presence. And presence only becomes magnetic when you've made peace with your shadows. Let me tell you about Robert, 56, a financial advisor from Seattle. On the surface, he had everything: career, status, charm. But every relationship he entered ended the same way. He was polite, composed, agreeable, and forgettable. He told me once, "I never let women see the parts of me that are angry or intense. I don't want to scare them off." But what he didn't realize was that by hiding his intensity, he was also hiding his depth. Then he met Monica, 53, a writer who saw right through his politeness. One night, after a long conversation, she said quietly, "You know, sometimes you sound like a man who's afraid of his own fire." That sentence hit him hard. For the first time, he didn't deny it. He said, "You're right, I am." And that small act of honesty changed everything. He stopped censoring himself. He stopped pretending to be light all the time. When he allowed a little darkness, quiet confidence, assertiveness, even a touch of rawness, something shifted. She leaned in. She told him later, "That was the first night I felt you, not just heard you." Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." That's what happens when you ignore your shadow. It leaks out in insecurity, over-explanation, or neediness. But when you face it, when you accept it without shame, it becomes fuel. The energy you used to spend hiding becomes magnetism. The Stoics understood this too. Seneca wrote, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a man alive." In modern terms, he meant that fear of your own darkness keeps you from living fully. When you stop fearing that edge inside you, the assertive, unapologetic part, you gain control over it. You don't let it dominate you, but you don't bury it either. You channel it. Robert didn't become harsh or arrogant. He simply started speaking with certainty. He let silence stretch longer, looked Monica in the eye a moment longer. He didn't apologize for wanting her, but he didn't rush to prove it either. That balance between restraint and rawness created polarity. She could feel the depth behind his calm. Owning your darkness doesn't mean being aggressive. It means embracing the parts of you that feel too much and mastering them with discipline. That mix of control and danger is what awakens instinct. Women can sense it. They feel it before you speak. The man who owns his darkness radiates quiet power. So stop hiding the sides of yourself that make you human. The anger, the passion, the hunger, when you face them, they stop controlling you. They become your strength. The Stoic man doesn't deny his fire, he tempers it. If this resonates with you, drop "I've seen this" below. And don't blink now, because next we're entering the final stage of this journey. This last part reveals how to transform every word, every look, every silence into energy, the Stoic lover's path that makes her want you without even knowing why. Stay here, we're almost there. Number 10. The Stoic way to make her want you. Attraction isn't about tricks, rehearsed lines, or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about presence, that calm, grounded energy that tells her you don't need to chase approval because you already approve of yourself. The Stoic way to make her want you has nothing to do with manipulation. It's the opposite. It's about control through self-mastery. When a woman feels your steadiness, she relaxes. She senses that you're not moved by her mood, her silence, or her tests. And that's rare. Most men crumble when a woman pulls away or withholds attention. They try harder, talk faster, or explain themselves into exhaustion. But the Stoic man does something different. He pauses, he breathes, he observes his reaction, then he chooses his response. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That single truth defines masculine attraction. You don't control her feelings, her choices, or her interest. You control the way you show up. The more centered you are, the more she feels the pull of your stability. That's the paradox detachment creates desire. Let's make this real. Imagine you're on a date. She tests your calm, maybe she disagrees, maybe she goes quiet. The average man tries to fix it. The Stoic man doesn't. He sits in the silence, grounded, unbothered. Not as a game, but because his peace isn't for sale. That stillness tells her this man doesn't chase emotion, he leads it. And in that moment, something primal shifts. She begins to respect you, to trust you, to feel drawn in. Carl Jung believed that the deepest attraction happens when two people's unconscious energies recognize each other, when calm meets curiosity, when masculine steadiness meets feminine motion. The Stoic embodies that balance. He's not cold but contained, not distant but deliberate. His quiet creates the space for her warmth to rise. What most men miss is that wanting her too much kills attraction. Desire has to breathe. The Stoic man desires, but he doesn't grasp. He allows. He knows that attraction is not a goal. It's a side effect of being in control of himself. This control isn't suppression, it's strength in direction. You channel your energy into presence, not pursuit. You listen with full attention. You speak when it adds meaning, not noise. You touch with intention, not impulse. The more composed you are, the more magnetic you become. Seneca said, "To be calm is the highest achievement of self." That calm doesn't mean emotionless, it means rooted. When she feels that she doesn't just want your attention, she wants your energy, your stability, your gravity. The Stoic way to make her want you is simple. Stop trying to control her response and start mastering your own state. When you can remain unshaken, not by her beauty, her distance, or her moods, you become the rarest man she's ever met. Because every woman wants to feel safe enough to surrender, and only the man who rules himself can give her that. That's the Stoic way. Quiet strength, calm attraction, desire born from presence, not pursuit. What you've just learned isn't about tricks or tactics, it's about mastery, the power of silence, the strength of calm, the art of suggestion, and the confidence to lead without chasing. That's what makes a man unforgettable. When you embody Stoic discipline, you don't just attract women, you command respect, peace, and presence in every part of your life. If you're ready to go deeper into this mindset, to learn how to apply Stoic psychology and masculine energy in real situations, join the Stoic Men's Circle. Inside, we train the mindset, habits, and inner calm that make this way of living second nature. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next lesson. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.